All right, everyone, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do this practice review. I'm going to be posting this video on our Google Classroom. If you want, you're welcome to pick this paper up today, just by swinging by the room, and by today I mean Tuesday, or I'll be handing it out in class on Wednesday. But I'm just going to run through it nice and quick. You guys can slow down the video or pause it if you need clarification on stuff, but I'll try and explain things as best as possible. All right, so with the first set of questions, these are all key features. What I want to know is what are the x-intercepts? It's possible that there's more than one. Y-intercept, axis of symmetry, vertex, all that stuff. So let's take a quick look. All right, so for x-intercepts, that's going to be this point and this point. For the x-intercepts, I'm going to write out the numbers for it. It's 2 and 4. Great. For the y-intercept, that's this point up here, where the graph, remember the red line is the graph itself, meets the y-axis, which is at 8. Axis of symmetry is the vertical line that runs through the vertex. That's this right here. And you started off by writing x equals, and this is x equals whatever this number is, which is 3. Our vertex is this point right here. And that's going to be over 3. It's going to be the same as the axis of symmetry. So over 3 and down 1. Now what I want to know is that vertex a maximum or a minimum? Well, in this case, since it's the lowest point, it's going to be the minimum. I'm just going to write min here because I'm lazy. For increasing and decreasing intervals, remember, if you know your domain, which you always do, and if you know your axis of symmetry, you can find increasing and decreasing intervals. Your domain is all the x values. And because it's a parabola, you're going to use all the x values, negative infinity to positive infinity. Let me jot that down for domain real quick. We're going to break up the domain in 2 parts. And that part where it breaks up is that axis of symmetry. So it breaks up at 3. So from negative infinity to 3, we are decreasing. So decreasing interval is negative infinity to 3. From 3 to infinity, so from here on, from 3 to infinity, that's going to be our increasing interval. 3 to infinity. What about range? Well, range is the list of all the y values. Domain was all the x's, and domain is always going to be negative infinity to positive infinity unless it's real life. And for range, we're going to take the lowest number and the highest number. Well, it goes on forever up, so that's going to be infinity this way. The lowest number is this. The lowest number is negative 1. So our domain is going to be from negative 1 to infinity. We've got to keep in mind, though, that this negative 1, we do actually hit that. That's our vertex right here. So since we do actually hit it, we put a bracket there. And for the infinity, since we don't actually hit infinity, we're going to use parentheses. Last thing I want to talk about with this one is the average slope from 1 to 3. Let's clear off our screen a little bit. So remember, when I say the interval 1 to 3, I'm talking about my x's. What x, or when it's 1 to 3. So 1 is here, and 3 is here. But if you remember from the lesson earlier today, these points, neither of these points are actually on my graph. The graph is the red line. So what I need to do is find out, okay, what part of the graph has an x of of 1? Well, that's this point right here. This point has an x of 1. For here, I want to know when my x is 3, what is the point on the graph? And that's going to be this point right here. So for our average slope, what I'm going to do is connect these 2 points and find out what the slope is, the rise over run. Rise is going to be down 4, so negative 4, over run of 2, which is negative 4 over 2, which happens to be negative 2. Let's look at this one right here. I want to sketch a parabola that would meet these criteria. Let's go through them piece by piece. So first, I know that the x-intercepts are negative 1 and positive 3. So negative 1 is going to have a point there, and positive 3 is going to have a point there. These are x-intercepts, so they're on the x-axis. It does not give me the y intercepts, which, okay, that's fine. I kind of wish I had it though. We know that the vertex is a minimum, and it's got an axis of symmetry at x equals 1. So the axis of symmetry is going to be right here. So that means my vertex is somewhere along this line, and it's a minimum, which means it's going to be below, because it's going to go like this, like a smiley face. We know we're increasing from negative infinity to 1. Oh, sorry, we're increasing from negative infinity, decreasing from negative infinity to 1. So that means we're going to be going down here. Other than this, that's all I know. So I'm going to just make up a vertex, because we're just sketching a parabola that meets these criteria. So what I'm going to do is just sketch this out. I know it's got to go through these points. And there we go. This is a version of it. Another version that you could use is, let's switch to this. Let's use this point. I could have used this graph right here. That would have been fine too, as long as it goes through those x-intercepts and the vertex is a minimum.